Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Crafty Patti, and you just never know what I'm up to next, right? Depending where you're at in the painting process, I've broken it up into 4 parts so you can choose where you want to go. The first part is on paints and mediums. Second part is on how I mix my paints and the formula I use. The third part is actually making the acrylic skins. And part 4 is what you can do with your acrylic skins, like jewelry. You can also make beautiful cards. You can make mosaics. Now, I've shown these in a small form just to give you the idea of what you can do. You could make a mosaic in a great big picture, and that would be absolutely gorgeous. You can also make bookmarks. There's so many things you can do with acrylic skins. This is just touching on a few of them. Don't worry about writing down any of the supplies. I'll have all the supply lists in the description box below as always. So let's get to it. For a few of my colors, I'm using the Flood Floetrol for my mixing medium. And I'm using some Liquitex paints. And this one is also a Pebeo. And I also have some Artist Loft colors. When you're experimenting, it's a really good idea to grab a label and write down exactly what you have put in your paint so you know if it works, then you can do this again. And this is the Minwax that I'm using in my paints. And to get the paint to the right consistency so it's not too thick, I'm using filtered water to thin it down. And for ease of application, you can put it into a squeeze bottle that I got from the dollar store. And that makes for easy application when you're actually applying the paint to your projects. For my white, I'm using Artist Loft's Titanium White. And I've mixed this the same as my other paints. 2 parts Floetrol to 1 part paint. And I've added 4 teaspoons of water to thin it down. For the Artist Loft's Deep Magenta, I'm using Liquitex Gloss Medium Varnish for my medium. And this one, I as well added the Minwax and water to thin down. Now each one of these, depending on the thickness and density of the paint, I might be adding 4 teaspoons of water, I might be adding 5, 6, or 7. This one I added 7 teaspoons because it was very thick. And with the Artist Loft's Aqua Green, I decided to try Elmer's glue. That's what I'm using for my medium. And then I've done the same thing as done 2 to 1, 1 teaspoon Minwax, and this one's got 5 teaspoons of water. For my base paint, I started with 3 parts of the Flood Floetrol, and then I've added in 2 parts of Dulux house paint. And this I get from my paint store, and I go in the back and I look for the mist tints. This whole can of paint was only $5, so you can get them for a really good price. You might not get a perfect white. This is a little bit of a creamy white, but that'll still work really well. And there's the Dulux paint, acrylic paint, semi-gloss. I'm going to be mixing in one of my little containers here that has the lids. And Floetrol will quite often come out in a clump, which you don't want in your paint. So a good idea is to get yourself a little kitchen strainer, a bathtub strainer, and that fits really nicely inside the little cup. And then you can pour the Floetrol inside the cup. I'm going to be doing a 2 to 1 ratio. So right now we've got that much Floetrol. And then what I do is, because I do a 2-to-1, I just come on here and I do an estimate as I look on my container here. And then I go, okay, well, here's 2 parts. So half of that would be about here. So I know to put my paint up to that line there. And now I'm just going to squeeze in the Artist Loft Metallic Cobalt Blue. And now we have our ratio of 2-to-1. And let's just stir that all together really well. So that's pretty thick. So I'm going to add 4 teaspoons of water. Give that a stir again. That's still on the thick side, so I'm going to add another teaspoon. The consistency is actually quite important, even though it looks like I'm just doing a bunch of guesswork here, but you don't want it too thick and you don't want it too thin. And 1 teaspoon of the mint wax. Mix that in. And I'm going to choose to add just 1 more teaspoon of water. And there's my final consistency. And the beauty of experimenting like this is that you're not wasting any paint, because as you're experimenting, you are going to make skins at the same time. Prepping for your acrylic skins, there's several ways you can do this. What I've got here is a piece of freezer paper with the waxy side up, and I've just taped it to an old acrylic canvas frame. That gives me some stability. I've also got a Lazing Susan, so if you want to spin your work, you can, and you can still take this off. So it's good to have something that you can take off. So that's your base. You can pour right on here and you can pull your acrylic skins off. If you want to have a firmer backing, then I would suggest that you use photo paper glossy. So you can just grab a sheet of photo paper, shiny side up, and you can place that on your board as well, and place your paints right on this. And when you take that off, you have a nice sturdy backing, so you can cut out shapes or whatever you want to cut out, and it's already backed. If you are going onto this and you decide, oh, I really want to have a backing, you can still cut out your little pieces, and what I've done here is I've just glued it on a piece of heavy cardstock. So then I've still got some backing and I can cut out shapes in there as well. So I'm just going to put some of my base paint across the top here. And now we're going to do an open cup. So I've just cut off the bottom end of a plastic cup here, and we'll pop that in here. And let's add some colors. I'm going to just pull it up just slightly to let some paint escape, and then move it along. There's a lot of white in the middle here, so I'm just going to come in here and scoop it around a bit more. And if you want to, you've got your board, so you can tilt it if you choose to. I think we're going to just leave this one as is. And we'll try a little bit of torching here. This is my makeshift spinner because I have it. I'm not going to go out and buy another one. I never use this. So, but just in case, I'm going to still protect it. I've cut out a piece of parchment paper and it's glossy side up. And I've got a piece of plastic. It was like a cutting board from the dollar store. And I have a piece of parchment that I've taped on and I've cut off the corners so I can fit it in here, and then when I'm finished this piece, I can pop it out and then put in another one. That's my setup. And then I went around with a piece of wide masking tape, so when I spin it, I won't get it all over me. Starting with a little pool of house paint in the middle here. I'm just adding in my colors. And this is what I'm using for my cell activator, which has the titanium white in it. Put some of that in. Blue, greeny blue. I'm gonna hit it directly on top with the blow dryer. Aim it first and then turn it on. And I'm just gonna tip it just to get it to do some more fun stuff. Keeping in mind again, I'm not using this as composition. I'm using this for skins. This isn't doing too much here, so I'm going to lightly blow this to this side here. And I'm just going to put on this little adapter here so I've got more control of where I'm aiming it. We're just going to let that sit, see what it does, and more cells will probably pop up. And another option, I always save cardboard when I get it, and I can use that for my base so I can lift it out of my spinner. And just to make that expand a little bit more, this is what I'm going to use my wheel, just so we get it to come out just that little bit more and see what we get. Using my torch just a little bit to pop any air bubbles. Always my house paint for my base. As you can see, my table probably isn't exactly level because it tends to dip down that way, or my Daisy Susan isn't. That's okay. And this time I'm going to come in with a straw and just see if I can get more action in the middle here. And I'm just going to try that on this side, and then I'm going to spin it, and we'll see the difference from blowing and leaving it alone. Getting a lot of paint here, so I'm just going to tip it down. See if we can get it to move on to the other patch of white down there. These have only been sitting probably for about 20 minutes, so they might look a little different in another hour. But this is what we've got so far. This was the first one we did on the parchment paper. So there's going to be lots of little areas in here that we can have fun making different arts and crafts with, jewelry, whatever you're making. This is the second one on parchment. And even though there wasn't anything happening in the middle there, that can still be a wonderful background. It doesn't always have to have cell formations or lacing. Third one on photo paper. This is the one that I wasn't enthralled with, but there's still areas in here that you can make good use of. That looks like it's got an eye on a fish or something. Cute. Once your acrylic skin is totally dry, then what I usually do is I come in with a little palette knife with a little sharp end on it, and then I can just get it under one edge here till it's lifted up, and then I like to slide it along the whole outside edge so I don't rip any of the edges. And then once you've released all your edges, then you can just take it up and pull it up, and your whole sheet will come off in one lovely piece. And then you can see you get some fun designs on the back, and you've got a whole sheet on the front to do some really fun stuff with. To store the sheets, I use pieces of wax paper, and I'll just put one layer down, get another piece, this is an acrylic skin that I did pour on a piece of photo paper. So for some strange reason, it did not want to cut through the paper backing of the photo paper, but with a little bit of perseverance, I did manage to get it all cut out. I don't want to waste it because it's very pretty. So I'm still going to glue this onto some black cardstock, and I can make a little card out of that. And I did lose a couple little pieces when I went to pull this off, but not to worry. I'm going to save this. I'm determined. And I picked up these little small talk stickers off of Amazon. And these are just really handy to put on your cards. Just little motivational quotes. And they come in sheets of black background and some with white background. So I'm just going to choose the top one up here, and we'll add that to our card. And there we go. Another idea for you. I have a white card, then black cardstock. I cut out a whole piece of acrylic skin, and then I added 2 silhouetted palm trees. Now I've been playing around with some different types of varnishes and things. This one I did try to put the Mod Podge on top, but as you can see, it's a little bit streaky. But it's okay. Just an idea for you. So here's a fun little piece I found from my acrylic skins. So I thought what I could do with this one is have fun and actually don't put it all the way over, because I kind of like these little bits here. So just to make it more arty, I'm going to do something like that. To hold this in place, I'm just going to remove that. I'm going to put some double-sided tape just along that one edge there. And to finish the card off, I've got this piece left over here. So I've left some space down in here where I'm going to actually add this. So I'm just going to cut off some portions off the bottom here, and then we'll see how that looks. To make this even pop even more and bring out the colors, you can choose to use Deco Art Americana Triple Thick. And being that will act as a bit of glue as well, you can come in and just press down your little ends of your flower. I've got a little triangle sponge. They're actually makeup sponges. And I'm just going to dab it in here. Then holding this carefully so it doesn't lift. We're going to come in. We're going to dab it onto our stencil. And once you've got good coverage, you can lift your stencil off and see what you have. And another idea for you, find some images you like on the computer and print them out, whether it be bird, seahorse, flowers, whatever you want. I had a piece of carbon paper here, and then I just traced it onto my cardstock. And because I want my bird on the black background, I'm just going to cut out the general shaping here. And now I'm just going to go around with a pencil. And I'll just lightly draw in, just so I've got a little bit of a guide to work with. And now that I can see my outline, I'll just come in and start cutting out pieces of my acrylic skins. And we're going to make just a little mosaic shape. So I'm just going to cut off a strip out of here. And then I can just come in and make different shapings. I'm just going to come and make them all a little bit different. And you might have to angle it so you can cover up your lines there. And I've taken off a little part off the top here, and I've made sure that this angle butts up to that angle there. And then once I've got my angle, then I know I can cut that off and form my next piece. Getting a little pair of tweezers with this delicate little tiny pieces might help you a little bit, especially with the gluing process. I'm having so much fun with this. I got carried away and I wasn't filming for you. But these are all just ideas. They're not like how-to videos. These ones here, I just cut some little wing kind of shapes and I've put those in there just so they fit. And I've got a little gap here I need to fill in here. So I've had to cut little tiny pieces so I could get them to just fill in those little areas. So that's sometimes what you have to do with mosaics. And I'm trying to keep in the same type of theme of my colors. So these are all yellows and pinks, and these are all looking like more like feathers. If I have a little piece to fit in, then I'll just place it up where I want it to go. And then I can see here's my outline of the bottom of the bird. So I'll just make a little line down here so I know where to cut it. And here's the finished bird in the mosaic pieces from the acrylic skins. And it just looks like a kind of a cool stained glass little window birdie. I'm going to brush this way, and then I'm going to brush the opposite direction. You can also make some bookmarks. This was just a strip of acrylic skin that had a automatic rough edge, so I used it. Plopped it on a piece of black cardstock. I used the triple thick to coat it afterwards. And then I added a piece of macrame for a tassel on the end. On this one, it was done on the Cricut again. This one I cut out these two flowers. I popped it on top of a piece of acrylic skin, and then I cut around the outside and cut out this part in here, glued it onto a bookmark. So there you go, more ideas for you. You may have seen this a lot on YouTube, but I've got to show it because it's just so fun to do. So on Amazon again, I have purchased the little basil pendant trays and the glass cabochon covers. I'll be using the triple thick brilliant brush on gloss glaze to adhere the cabochon to my acrylic skin, and then I'll be using the diamond glaze to adhere it to the tray. Just make sure there's no fingerprints on your back side, so just give it a nice clean with a cloth. And you'll only need one small drop in the center because it'll spread out. And then I've got this little piece that I had over from the butterfly, so I'm looking up in here to see if I can find something fun up in there. So I'm just going to pop it down. I'm going to smush this glaze around and then just pop it in where I like my pattern. And once you're happy with your placement, just hold down and just press it in place. This is one of the skins that we poured in the video, and I've just gone in now looking for some really fun little areas, and I'm trying to find some around the edge here so I can still use this for other art projects. I think this might look kind of neat. It almost looks like the earth. So I'm going to use that one right there. I've already cleaned the back sides of these ones. And again, just one small drop. Place it on. It was right about here. And I like to just smush it around again. Find where I like it. And here's another place I can do another beautiful pendant right here. I'll do that one. And here's another one that looks almost like it's rocks on a beach, so we'll do that one as well. And we'll let those dry for 24 hours, and then we'll come back and finish them up. So I'm going to start by just loosely cutting around here, just so it's easier. And then just come in and cut close as you can. If you've got a little pair of little sharp scissors like this, all the better. This will cut right through any glue that squished out. And if you come on the back side, you'll be able to get a little closer. It doesn't have to be perfect because once it's in the tray edges will hide the edge. So now it's just a matter of putting in just a few drops of your diamond glaze adhesive. You don't need a lot because it will spread once you squeeze it in. So I generally go with one drop in the middle and some very small drops around the edge. And you can place in your beautiful work of art, position it how you like it, how you feel it's appealing to where it's going to be hanging. And I think I'll go there and then press in place. Hold for a few minutes, and then you can let it sit, and you'll be ready to go. And once it's all glued in place, you can add your cording or necklace of choice, and there you have it. And let's do one more with the acrylic skin that doesn't have a backing. This is the one that had the photo paper backing. And here's the one I chose to do, just with the acrylic skin and no backing. And again, we will just cut out close to the edge. And this is still got my wax paper on it, so we'll just take the wax paper off. There we go. And around we go again. And another gorgeous pendant that you can add your cording and make a necklace. And with this application to make pendants, whether it be photo backed or just the acrylic skin, they both work fine. Well, I hope that has inspired you to have some fun with the acrylic skins, and I would love to see what you can come up with and where your imagination goes with making your arts and crafts. Till next time, bye-bye.